We are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm your host, Crew Mel Bellissimo. It is Friday, July 16th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you all had a great week. Not going to lie, folks. It's been a heck of a week. But I also have some exciting things to share. First of all, I'd like to dedicate today's show to my father, Dominic Bellissimo, who is at a long-term care facility here in Ottawa and is struggling with pneumonia and having some aspirations in the lungs, which means that he is, when he swallows or when he eats, there is saliva that is getting caught in the lungs or going to the lungs, as well as food particles. So it's been a heck of a go, but, so I'd like to dedicate the show to the old man. But that said, my friends, it's caused a lot of perspective to happen in my life. When you start thinking about these things, when you start looking at life in a particular way, it really does something to you when you have someone that you care about who's very ill. In fact, to be honest with you, to all my friends and family and those watching the show in the Twitchiverse, we were scared, man. We were scared that this was going to be him leaving the physical existence and going on to bigger and better things. So I wanted to start the show, talking a little bit about our guest, because I got a good one for you today, folks. And I'm really excited because it's really great to connect with people. And I want to give some reference, okay? I want to give some reference. Bear with me as I am doing something here on the show. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So I took a picture. And as I took the picture, it was a picture of my father's closet. And the picture was his clothes hanging on hangers. And something struck me. I really had, I don't know if you want to call it an epiphany, a quantum moment, as Dr. Dyer would call them. But something really hit me. And what hit me was, first of all, that I'm going to write a blog called All That's Left. Because it's going to be a blog about my father, dedicated to my father, about the years of service with one company. He dedicated his life to a company as a technician. And he worked and, he moved countries to provide his family with the hopes of giving them a better life, and worked so hard to provide stuff for his family. But as he approaches the evening or the twilight of his life, he's left with some clothes in a closet. And what does it make me think of? Well, my friends, it makes me think that we shouldn't go after the shiny things. That what we should be doing is we should be going after, or what we should be going after is building special relationships, meaningful relationships. And so today's guest, I'm honored to call a friend. He is I mean, let me put it to you like this. I'm known, even in the Muay Thai world, as a guy who could communicate, an excellent communicator. And then I met this guest, and man, is he ever slick. He is smooth. He talks. He's got this great voice, a voice that you could listen to for hours. He was a public speaker, and what he calls a public speaker that wasn't like this successful man, popular guy, and he turned it around and became a 7-figure coaching expert or speaker coach. He's done really some remarkable things. He is a 2-time international best-selling author. He's a TEDx speaker. He's spoken at the United Nations twice. He's worked with celebrities, entrepreneurs, politicians, and even an Olympic gold medalist. Most importantly, what he is, aside from all these titles, is he's a great man. He's a father of 2. And he's dedicated his life to helping people become better communicators so that they can go and build meaningful relationships. He helps people, of course, grow their business. He helps people, of course, with public speaking. Because isn't it interesting to you that most successful public speakers are, or most successful entrepreneurs are public speakers? Maybe something that makes you go, But he's an all-around super amazing human. And I really love him, and I'm honored to have him on the show. So wherever you are in the world, get off your comfortable seat and put your hands together for my dear friend, Majeed, like magic.
What an honor. What an honor. Crew, Mel, Bellissimo. It is I, Majeed, like magic. Welcome to Smooth Talk.
I love it. How could you not fall in love? Ladies and gentlemen, there's the show. Thank you for coming. That's all you need to hear. Welcome to Smooth Talk. Hi, Majeed. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How does it get any better than this?
Well, thank you, brother. Spending 90 minutes with a guy like you probably costs a lot of money. So I am super honored that you've given myself and the friends watching on the Twitchiverse, on the Coffee and Biscotti show, 90 minutes of your time to share your story, to, paint a picture for our friends in the Twitchiverse about who this guy Majeed really is. So I don't know, man. I mean, take us through it, brother. Paint us a picture. I want to get right into it with you because I know there's going to be so much to unpack with this. I'm actually a little worried that you're going to say so many powerful things that we're not going to have enough notes to take. We're going to run out of pages. So thank you, Majeed, for joining us.
Well, thank you for investing your time, Mel. And thank you, dear listeners and dear viewers, including none other than the legend Albert Wong is here live. Well, Mel, I am the son of an immigrant. I am the brother of a brother of a sister. I am a father. I am an ex-husband, working to be the best ex-husband alive for my ex-wife, the mother of my children. I am an entrepreneur, which I define as one who solves problems profitably. I am a designer of my life. I am a doer of the impossible. I am a shower of the way. I'm a learner. I'm a teacher. And I'm a wealthy, wealthy, wealthy man, as measured not just by my bank accounts, but by my deep friendships, my love of this moment. So it all began, Mel, growing up poor. Now, we weren't poor in the traditional sense of not having money. We were poor in the mental sense of thinking we weren't supposed to spend it ever. My dad was very thrifty. And I knew that spending money was painful and that making money was hard and that people who had lots of money must have been greedy and evil. And to get from that mindset to where I am now, which is that money loves me and I love money and I'm rich and I'm wealthy and there's always more money. These are the beliefs that I use. Has been an interesting journey of entrepreneurship. And freedom has always been my number one value. And I used to believe that freedom comes from having lots of money. That's part of it, but there are 5 freedoms I define: financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, service freedom, and relationship freedom. The ability to have more resources than I need and create more resources than I need, money, to be in control of my time. And I use language like I invest time, I make time. I don't ever try to find time, and I never certainly don't have time because I have time. I make time. Location freedom, which is the ability to go where I choose, which has become an interesting thing in these strange pandemic times, which was why when we weren't allowed to leave the house, I traveled to nearly every state in the Union of the United States and traveled for 149 days because they said I couldn't. So I did.
I love it.
Service freedom is the ability to serve the world and make my contribution the way I choose, so that my work is not work. My work is art. I don't even use the word work. I use the words contribution to the world. This conversation is part of my contribution to the world. Relationship freedom is to be able to choose the people I wish to be connected with, which I've done through investing time, money, and energy into being around quality people and choosing to love even people that might be considered negative or rub me the wrong way. Relationships are extremely important. It's a part of what makes me so wealthy. It's because of my wealth and depth in my relationships. And finally, so I said time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, service freedom, and time, money, location, service, relationship. Time, money, location, service, relationship. Those are my freedoms. So I care a lot about the freedoms, and anytime I feel like I don't have all those freedoms, it is purely my own perception, and I get to choose to think about things differently with questions like, how does it get any better than this?
You can see that I'm just listening. I'm totally glued already. Did anybody catch all that? Did anybody catch the 5 freedoms? You know, Majeed, that's what's so powerful about why I was so excited and looking forward to this, because it's not, 15 minutes in and already people could write down some of the things that I know. I know this, Majeed, because everything that you've said, I want those freedoms. In fact, I am those freedoms. I'm working to get those freedoms because that's what my role or my goal is to have those kinds of freedoms. So I totally resonate. And I think that, and I'll say this at the beginning of the show. I'm sure I'll say it at the end of the show. But let's be very clear, Majeed, that this whole platform, this whole, Putin Nation and Josh talking to me about Twitch and doing something on a show like this kind of platform is all about passions, transformations, and service. And what I love about what you do, Majeed, is you embody all of those. Your passion, you don't call work. your transformation. So you're going from already talking about having a family that has a poor mentality, or poor in terms of mentality, and then service and how you're servicing other. You embody exactly what we want on this show.
Yes, thank you. I would love for the people who are watching live to chat what is resonating. When you hear something that feels true for you, just write that in the chat, and that'll help us know what you're resonating with. You're also welcome to ask questions. And for anyone who's watching the recording, I would encourage you to be as engaged as possible by commenting on the recording that which is resonating for you. I want to point out, Mel, that my mindfulness practice is choosing my words precisely and paying attention to your words precisely. And in service to you, a man who claims to have a goal to have these freedoms, is you can remove the word goal, because goal is something that you don't have now and that you're striving towards. And in order for you to have all of those 5 freedoms now, you can just choose to know that you do have all of those 5 freedoms now. I'll tell you, I used to strive towards financial freedom because I had a definition that required me to strive towards it. My definition of financial freedom was to have passive income that exceeds my living expenses. And I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, buy income generating assets and don't hold too many liabilities that take money out of your pocket every month. So I started investing in real estate and looking at stocks and mutual funds and calculating how long is it going to take for me to live off of my interest of my cash flowing assets. I went to my financial advisor, Daryl Bandoro, and I said, Daryl, if I save $2,000 a month, how long is it going to take me to get to 3 million? And he did his calculations. He says, it's going to take you 42 years. Because at the time I thought I can live off the interest of 3 million and then I can finally stop worrying about money. And at the time I was probably 33 years old. So 33 plus 42 is too damn old for me. I want financial freedom now. So all I had to do was change the definition of financial freedom. And upon changing the definition, I immediately achieved it. It's no longer a goal. I am financially free now with my new definition. My new definition is financial freedom is the absolute knowing that I will always be able to generate more resources than I need. And I absolutely know that to be true now. And so, boom, I'm there now. And so for you, Mel, whichever of the 5 freedoms you feel like you don't have now, isn't it true that you do choose exactly where you want to be location freedom? Isn't it true that you do choose exactly who you spend your time with, relationship freedom? Isn't it true that you do choose now exactly how you contribute to the world, service freedom? Isn't it true that you do choose now exactly how you invest your time? And isn't it true that you do have now more resources than you need, and you can always generate more resources than you need? You have the 5 freedoms now. No need to make it a goal.
One point for Majeed. Absolutely. And to be fair, Majeed, I mean, whether or not you want to look at the laws of attraction or The Secret or any of these books that talk about manifestation or manifesting the things that we desire most, they really all do say the same thing. And you know what that is? If you desire something in your life, you have to imagine, you have to live as if you already have it.
Yes.
So you're right on. And it's no surprise that you have had the success you've had. But let's go back. You were talking about, growing up with this family that, of course, has a poor mentality with regards to finances. I mean, it's funny because the first thing that comes to mind when you said it, Majeed, is how many times have we heard that money is the root of all evil? Only to find out that the actual quote in the Bible is the love for money is the root of all evil.
Mm.
And that changes stuff right there, because money's not the root of all evil. I'll explain to you a definition of money that I heard, which I don't know if it resonates with you, but it resonated with me. But the question was, what is money? And people said, it's a way to purchase things. Some people who are a little bit more enlightened said it's an exchange of energy. I work for the money. I give it to you to get something. It's an exchange. But the person at the class said, money is an amplifier of one's personality. That's really all it is. Because if you have $1 million and somebody else has $1 million, you're going to do two different things with the $1 million. So I love that you said about your start is about poor mentality. I want to take it from there. Start from there again, because I love it.
I'm taking notes. I realize that I don't have my favorite definition of money yet. So I'm going to meditate on that. What is money? I know for me, money is what allows me to do and be who I wish to be. I have a relationship with money. I facilitated this exercise with a friend of mine who did not have a healthy relationship with money. And she's over in Austin, Texas, and I'm on the phone with her. And I said, can you get 3 chairs in your apartment? So she gets 3 chairs, sits them right next to each other. And I say, okay, the chair on the far left, I want you to sit in that chair. That's going to be you. And you're on a talk show, and there's 2 other people next to these chairs. And then I said, okay, now sit in the middle chair. The middle chair is money, specifically your money. So she sits in the middle chair. And then I say, now sit in the 3rd chair. That's going to be a third-party observer. So she sits in the 3rd chair. I'm like, you're just someone watching a conversation. Okay. Now I want you to go back to the 1st chair. You're you again in the 1st chair, and turn to money, your money. Let me guide you through a conversation. How do you feel about your money? What's your history with your money? How have you treated your money? If you could tell your money something, what would you want to tell them? And we had this whole relationship conversation like we're on the Jerry Springer show, right? And then I'd say, okay, now sit in the middle, and now your money. Okay, you're Annie's money. Okay, Annie's money. Turn to Annie. How does Annie treat you? And she's like, Annie doesn't pay attention to me, and Annie neglects me, and Annie never lets me go and spend myself on the things that I want to spend, and she's always afraid of losing me. And so we have this whole conversation between Annie and Annie's money. And then I go to the third-party observer and I say, what can you tell me about that relationship over there? Third-party observer, gives a lot of great insights. And this is where I think we can learn a lot about our relationship with money. My relationship with money has changed dramatically. I grew up in a house where talking about money, looking at money was not good. The bills were hidden literally in a locked drawer. One time I made the mistake of telling my neighbor how much my dad makes, and he was so mad. He was like, if people find out how much I make, they might be jealous, and this is not something you talk about. What I do today is I have on my wall right here something this is called the money map. There it is right there. All right, the money map is a calendar of the month where every day I write every transaction coming in. And every transaction coming in, every time I'm receiving money, I write the amount and the name of the person, and I give some appreciation, whether it's $5 or $500 or $5,000, because what you appreciate appreciates. What you give more awareness to comes through more. And every day is a money day. Every day is a money day. And if I'm not moving money that day, either by receiving, I'm going to move money by spending, because I am a mover of money. Money comes to me and through me. All of the money that's ever come to me has come through me to spend or invest. I'm a magnet for money. Money's attracted to value. I create value in the world by solving problems for people. Where does money come from, Mel? This I do know. I don't have a great definition for money yet that I love, but I do know exactly where money comes from. Money comes from other people's bank accounts.
Yes, it does.
Money comes from other people's bank accounts, and I imagine those dollars are lonely, trying to get into my bank account because I've got solutions to their owner's problems. And every time their owner has said, I would rather take that money from my account and put it into your account, it's because they have a problem that they want solved. And that's what I do for them. So who has my money in their bank account right now because they have my problem that I solve in their life right now that I can solve for them? And this is all very different thinking from growing up, because growing up, I thought money was scarce. My dad even taught me that in the stock market, if someone's making money, that means someone else is losing money. I don't want someone else to lose money, but in fact, that's not true. Money grows. I mean, when you want to go down the rabbit hole with fractional reserve policy from the Federal Reserve and understanding that money is completely created, you can get down into it, but ultimately it's how do we want to feel about money? And whatever this amount of money, see, I have this idea that $3 million is going to make me feel safe and secure, like I'm going to be set for life. Really what I want to feel is I want to feel safe and secure that I'm set for life. And I can just feel that now by trusting my skills. I have lots of evidence to support that my skills will always take care of me. I have a long history of winning, and so do you. And so it's how do we think money is going to make us feel? Or if we think we want money to buy a certain thing, like I want money so I could buy this house because I think if I have that house, I'm going to feel a certain way. It all comes down to what we think we're going to feel. And so if we know how we want to feel, we could just choose to feel that right now.
Brilliant.
Ute's here. What's up, Ute? Guten Tag.
That's it. Ute in the house. The sexual empowerment goddess all the way from Germany. Ute, always a pleasure to have you, honey. Love you, sweet, beautiful goddess that you are. So take us, after that, Josh. So, I mean, listen, I have to ask, like, it's not like you woke up and said, oh my God, I'm going to be a public speaking coach and I'm going to be a 7-figure public speaking coach. I can't imagine like that's what somebody says. How did you get into this? What was sort of the journey that brought you here?
Well, you don't become a 7-figure speaking coach by accident. That is a choice. And 7 figures is $1 million, is $83,333 a month, which is about $21,000 a week, which is about $4,250 a day if you work 5 days a week, which is about $2,125 before lunch and $2,125 after lunch, 5 days a week, all year long.
So this is not the first time you've done those calculations.
My business runs on 2 programs. I have a $5,000 program and a $15,000 program. Everybody who's in the $15,000 program has to take the $5,000 program. So I get 80 people a year into my $5,000 program, which generates $400,000. And every single person who goes through the $5,000 program gets invited to the $15,000 program. Half say yes, half say no. The half that say yes are 40 people paying $15,000. 40 people paying $15,000 is $600,000. $600,000 plus the initial $400,000 is $1 million. I know my numbers because I'm not afraid of them anymore. I choose to serve 80 people a year so that I can generate $1 million, and I get to serve thousands more who don't pay for anything. My book is free. If you'd like to get my book, it's expertspeakerbook.com. And I give everything away, Mel. Literally the exact same stuff that people pay $20,000 for, I give away for free in my book because my ideal client hires a coach. My ideal client doesn't just read a book and say, I'm going to do this now and implement. My ideal client reads my book and says, I'm hiring the author. Okay, so the choice to be a 7-figure entrepreneur is a conscious one. And you don't just end up at the end of the year and go, oh, look, I made $1 million. No, you make $2,000 before lunch and you make $2,000 after lunch, 5 days a week, all year long. You don't have a good year. You have a series of good months. And you don't have a good month. You have a series of good weeks. And you don't have a good week. You have a series of good days. And every day is a money day. So the choice to be a 7-figure entrepreneur was certainly a conscious one. And that's because I'm in the game of being an entrepreneur. And the way I keep score is I got to 6 figures. I said, what's next? 250. Funny thing happens at 6 figures. Your site goes to 250. Once you hit 250, you go to $1 million. I don't know why, but those are the milestones. 100,000, 250, and $1 million. To be a public speaking coach was actually quite by accident. I was speaking at a conference, and a woman comes up to me afterwards and she says, "Teach me how to speak like you do that." And I said, "Well, this isn't really what I do. I'm a speaker. I'm not a speaking coach." She said, "I'll pay you $50,000 if you can teach me how to speak like that." And I said, "Say hello to your public speaking coach." That was my first ever client in my public speaking coaching business. And she asked me, she's a book coach, and she asked me to teach her authors how to speak to attract ideal clients, because that's what I was doing and teaching at the time, is how to attract ideal clients. And so her clients all paid me $10,000 just to help them build a speech. So I'm like, if this lady's paying me $50,000 to teach her how to speak, and her clients are paying me 10 to build one speech for them, I'm clearly solving a valuable problem. Now, my evolution as an entrepreneur was to start in my business. My business was the answer to the question, how do I get paid to travel? Because I love traveling. I live to travel. I make money to travel. I work to travel. And so I heard about the speaking circuit, where professional speakers get invited to speak at conferences, and the conference pays for their flight and their hotel and their keynote fee. And I was like, sign me up for that business. And in that business, you're selling a speech. But I discovered that speaking actually is a really good marketing strategy, because in addition to selling keynote speeches, I was selling coaching and consulting and training, and every single one of my clients discovered me from a speech. So then I learned how to actually speak to sell, or speak to attract clients. And now I run a coaching business where all of my clients come from me speaking. They discover me from speaking and they become a client. And I teach all of them how to deliver speeches that attract clients. So now I have a coaching business. I still do a lot of speaking, but I don't necessarily charge for my speaking. I just speak strategically to the right audiences to attract clients to my coaching company. Make sense?
Holy shit balls.
Bingo. The most
so
I ever paid.
It's so good. It's so good.
The most
It's
I ever
so good.
for a single speech, I got paid $10,000 for a single speech. That was like my high watermark. It was for a company called Fair Trade America. They invited me to come and teach their executives on communication. One speech, $10,000. The game-changing speech for me was in Toronto for a room full of 150 functional medicine doctors. I gave a free speech. And at the end of my free speech, I put my calendar link on the screen. And I said, everybody take out your phone. Book a call with me. By the time I got back to my seat, I had 50 calls booked. And over the next few weeks, I took those 50 calls and I generated multiple 6 figures in sales. Plus, I got to talk to some really cool doctors, and I got to work and help with a ton of doctors. And I thought to myself, okay, the most I've ever been paid is $10,000 for a speech, but I just made multiple 6 figures from a single speech. Which model is better for me? Plus, with the second model, not only do I make more money, I have a much bigger impact. My $10,000 speech, I give the speech, standing ovation, thank you, handshake, great job, see you later. Now what's going to happen? Probably not much. But with the speech that gets clients, I can serve these people way longer than the duration of my performance on the stage.
Wow. I don't really have a lot to say, because right now I'm taking this all in, my friend, because what I take from it is about, we have our dear friend Albert Wong, and I say this all the time, Majeed, but he's preparing his career vision board, piece of the vision board, and he says that there are 4 ingredients. And I say this on here all the time because it's just so good. Albert Wong is a genius in his own right. But he says, in my career, I want to solve a human problem. I want to leverage my superpowers or my God-given talents to help me solve that human problem. Then I want to supercharge my learning and growth. I want to always be better. I want to subscribe to the philosophy that I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. So I'm constantly going to learn. I'm constantly going to evolve. And then I'm going to use networks and seek mentors who are experts at what they do to help me in achieving the problem, the human problem that I want to solve. And I went, Albert Wong, Albert Wong, I bow to you because that's brilliant. And what I love about what you do is, to be honest with you, you do exactly that. Majeed, you do exactly that. You solve a human problem. You leverage your God-given talents. You're always growing and always learning. And you're always networking and seeking out mentors that will help you get better in what it is that you're trying to do, which in this case is, coaching, public speaking, and helping people create better relationships and create more finances in their business through communication, through public speaking.
Yes.
Bravo.
Oh snap, AC's in the house.
AC in the house, my man.
So let me take it to the next level, Mel. Let's get a little spiritual.
Yes.
All right.
You said the magic word.
Magic. The vibration of my business in the beginning was the poor boy who wanted to show his parents that he can make big bucks. Like when I grew up, my father would yell at my mother for changing the temperature on the thermostat. He would say, "Go put on a sweater. You think it's free to heat this house?" When the door was open and the air conditioner was on and it was hot outside, he would run like Arnold Schwarzenegger in slow motion, leaving an exploding building to close the door as if $100 bills were flying out. Okay. So I thought there must be an amount of money that I could have in the bank that I don't need to yell at my spouse about a thermostat. If I can just make enough. So I made that much. I made more than that. I made more money than I need. I have more money than I need. So what's next? Well, entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, and your business is your personal development program, because every time you up-level your ideal client, you have to become the provider that your ideal client wants to hire. So when you go for a higher level of client, you get to become a higher level entrepreneur, which means you train more, you learn more, you master your excellence, you up-level yourself. I got so obsessed with automations and efficiencies and 4-hour work weeks that I thought the whole point of work is to work as little as possible, until I got a bit bored. And there's a quote from Seth Godin that says, work is something that you try to do less of, and art is something that you try to do more of. So I said earlier that I don't use the word work. I use my contribution to the world. My work is my contribution to the world. And I am not just an entrepreneur, father, human. I am also an artist. And what we're creating right here, Mel, might be called by marketers as content. I call it art. We're creating something that I imagine my children may one day see. My contribution to the world. My 2 little gorgeous little pieces of art running around, parts of my body outside of my own body. So when you look at your work as a spiritual opportunity to grow, it becomes a lot more interesting. There's also 3 parts of business. There's the job, there's the business, and there's the busy. The job is the performance. So for me, my job is coaching. I deliver my coaching. I deliver my speeches. The busy is all the other stuff, but the business is sales and marketing. The business is sales and marketing. And the big idea here is this. As a professional speaker, when I was running my business as a professional speaker, selling my speeches, what I thought was, if I'm really good at speaking, I'll be successful. But successful speakers are really good at selling speeches. Successful speakers are really good at selling their service. As a service provider, you have to get good at sales and marketing. And sales and marketing is entirely the application of communication and psychology. So we got to get good at communication and psychology to sell. And my definition of sales is helping people make the right decision for them. And so I only get the reward of work when I've earned it through sales. My work is a reward for me. I love doing my work. It's practicing my art. It's joyful to me. I would do it for free. Don't tell anybody, but I would. But the business is actually sales and marketing. So anybody who's getting into business and they want to outsource the sales and marketing, they want to just hire someone else to sell for them so that they get the reward of doing their craft. I've not seen that work personally. So get good at communication and psychology, which is helping people make the right decision to invest in themselves, to hire you, so that you can reward yourself by doing your craft.
Wow. Brilliant. I'm going to put...
and the busy is everything else. The busy is all the things people are doing that they're telling themselves was the reason why they can't do the sales right now. I can't do the sales right now because I'm redoing my website. I can't do the sales right now because I'm working on a blog article. Can't do my sales right now because I'm launching my book soon. I can't do my sales right now because I'm not certified yet. I'm in this course and its certification's done in 6 weeks. That's what I call getting your ducks in a row. People getting ducks in a row. You ever seen ducks in a row? I don't know. I haven't. Okay, actually, I have seen ducks in a row. But point is, let's focus on sales and marketing. And sales and marketing is communication that gets clients. Sales and marketing is communication that gets people to raise their hand. And I pride myself in the simplicity of my business. My business runs on a Facebook group with a phone. I got a phone and a Zoom account, and everything's in the cloud. I could drop my phone in a puddle, take your phone, Mel, and run my 7-figure business from your phone right now. It's that simple. I don't have a team. I have one part-time assistant who's a mother of 2, and we almost never talk in California. She's amazing, Ani. And that's it. No fancy website. I haven't updated my website since 2017, and I built it in a couple hours on Squarespace. $10 a month is my website fee. I take orders over the phone. I get on the phone with someone. I'm like, it's $5,000. You want to put that on a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? They read out, go ahead, read off your credit card number. I'm writing it down on a Post-it note. I got a chipmunk trying to get in my house. Hang on one second.
So,
all right, I'm back.
My friends in the Twitchiverse, as we wait for Majeed to come back, which he's already back very quick, well, talk to me a little bit about how that resonates with you, because, man, that was like a solid left hook. Like just a solid lead, left hook, but everything's in alignment. The hand is up. You're twisting, you're pivoting the foot, throwing the left hook, and that's what happens. That's the setup. Pow! And then the sales and marketing comes with the big right hand. I love it. Majeed, there's so much to unpack there. I knew that I was going to go through this because I've sat with you and we've spent some time together. And I know at how brilliant you are in, really putting your words and choosing the words that you use, and how you're always thinking about. I remember, here's an example. I remember doing our Facebook Live. And, in my heart, Majeed, I felt like, hey, he just turned on his camera, went like this, and hey guys, it's Majeed like magic, and I'm with Crew Mel, and we're at Petrie Island, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden we started to talk. And I don't know how long it was, 15 minutes, whatever it was. But then in the end, I asked you what you thought. And man, did you just have this incredible response about how, well, Mel, it was good. You said some nice things. You're a good talker. You can tell a good story. But he says, what do you do? Like, who are you? You're saying you're all these other things, but you know who you are? You're the guy that helps bring balance and clarity to people's lives so that they can get more awareness of self and the energies of outside of self. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And I went, holy shitballs. That's really who I am.
Well, the insight we had there, Mel, was that on the interview, you talked a lot about what you do, and people never buy what you do. They only buy what they get. And so you talked about some of the exercises that you do and set the vision and set the goals and have accountability and make a plan. But what they get is they get to save their marriage. They get to spend more time with their kids. They get to make more money. They get to lose the weight, right? When I sell my program, you get high ticket clients. You get a waiting list because you're completely sold out. You get to travel the world. You get to have the respect of your peers in your industry. That's what I'm selling, and that's what people are buying. And they're like, I don't even really care what we're going to do as long as I get that.
Amazing.
I just signed a client up yesterday, $5,000 over the phone. Never talked to her before. She's paying me $5,000. Good to go. After we process the payment, she's like, so what are we doing? She didn't know if it's a 1-year program, a 12-week program. She didn't know if it's 12 modules. She didn't know if it's a video program. It happens to be a 3-day intensive on Zoom. If I would have said it's a 7-day retreat in Africa, she would have said, cool, where do I buy the flights? Like, what dates? She was sold on the result, and she knew she was going to get the result because I listened to her probably more than any therapist or any lover ever had. Because I could listen to her and tell her what I heard so that she feels so seen and understood that I become the only service provider in the world that she wants to work with because I get what she wants. And that's just through good questions and good listening.
Of course.
And sales is about listening. You listen your way into a sale. You don't talk your way into a sale.
There's another one to write down, folks. You listen your way into a sale. You don't talk your way into a sale. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch this over and over again. So Majeed, you've done this now, and you've had success, and continue to have success because you are successful. So, was there something that happened? Was there a pivotal point? Was there a quantum moment in your life that sort of, where you're coming from this family, they have a particular way about what they think. Is there something that happened? Was there a quantum moment that happened that you said, no, I don't ever want to live like that. I don't want to worry about the thermostat. Was it that moment? What was the moment for you?
Like a low point moment?
It doesn't have to be a low point. It could be a quantum moment. I mean, Dr. Dyer talks about, going to a restaurant and the restaurant got their liquor license pulled, and he picked up his wife, 4 kids, put them back in the van, got mad and said, why do I want to stay here? You can't even serve me a beer. Let's go. Let's get up. Let's pack everything away and go back into the van and go to a restaurant.
Okay.
That was his quantum moment.
All right. I got at least one moment to share with you. First of all, I want to tell you how I measure success. It's the definition of my sandal tan. I only ever wear sandals. I wear black Chacos, and I have pasty white feet. And there's this real good strip. All right. I got a tan foot and a pasty white strip. And if my feet are ever completely white, I am not successful. Because I measure success in the definition of my sandal tan. I don't care if I've got multiple 6 figures cash in the bank. If I don't have a good sandal tan, I'm not winning. So careful what you measure as success, right?
Right, of course.
Now, let me tell you the moment that I knew I fucked up. Can I say the F word on this?
Yeah, you certainly can, bro. You can drop the F-bomb anytime you like.
All right. I was a father for less than 48 hours. My wife had just delivered by emergency C-section after 36 hours of labor. Arrived into this world, our little baby, not yet named. The in-laws were losing their minds because the baby didn't have a name, but it later became Ruby. And I said, I have a meeting I have to go to. So I'll see you later. I'll be back. And I left my wife, mother of my firstborn child, in the hospital after just being cut open about 24 hours earlier, holding our little baby, 1 day old. The meeting I had was to go sign a contract at Invest Ottawa with a man named Kevin and a man named Peter. And they had a contract. And it was a renewal of a contract that I was already doing. I had like a 6-month and they were going to renew it. Okay. I went home. I took a shower, got a haircut. Maybe I got the haircut, then I took the shower, put on a suit, went to the meeting, sat down. They slide the papers. We're going over the contract. I signed the thing, shake the hands. And Peter asked me, how's your wife doing? And I said, oh yeah, we had the baby. And they both paused. Now, one's a father of 2 and the other's a father of 4. And they both looked at me like I had just said something terrible. And I'm trying to think, what did I just say? And Peter says to me, what the hell are you doing here? Your wife is in the hospital. What are you doing here? And I was embarrassed. I thought, what am I doing here? I don't know. I felt like it was more important to sign this contract now and keep my appointment because we had an appointment set to sign the contract. Now, I could have said, hey, guys, I just had a baby. I'm going to have to sign this contract another day. But clearly, in that moment, I made the decision that signing this contract is more important than being with my wife and child. Right? So I came back to the hospital. My wife sees I got a haircut. She's like, you got a haircut? Are you kidding me? Like, why did you know? What are you doing getting a haircut? I'm here holding this baby. And I made a decision in that moment that I'm always going to compare opportunities to whether it's worth leaving my children. And that was when I started to phase out traveling and speaking, which was my model. Get on a plane, go to a hotel, deliver a talk at some conference, into webinars. So fast forward 4 years later, I'm in Costa Rica. Sandal tan is on point. Wearing nothing but tank tops, right on the beach. I booked a 4-bedroom Airbnb so that we can have guests come and stay with us. And I paid for 5 tickets for my wife's best friend's family, father, mother, and 3 kids, to fly out to hang out with us just because I'm that abundant. And because I had a trip I was going to fly from Costa Rica to Washington, D.C., deliver a talk that was going to generate 6 figures for me, and fly back to Costa Rica. Before I go on that flight, I have a talk I'm going to deliver to a room full of doctors in cold-ass Toronto in the middle of winter. And I'm in my tank top in my villa in Costa Rica. I got my laptop sitting on a chair. I put a chair on top of a table so I could be standing, and I'm standing right now. It helps me be a little bit more passionate. And I'm delivering this talk. And at the end of the talk, they form a line to ask questions by walking up into the laptop. So one after another, people are walking up to the laptop asking me questions. And then just as I'm about to say goodbye, I'm like, hey guys, I wish you guys could be here because it's so nice here in Costa Rica. And I'm about to take my kids to the cloud forest. And I was being a little sassy because they were, home in cold Canada. And when I closed the laptop, I'm instantly teleported to Costa Rica because, in my mind, I'm in Toronto delivering this presentation. But as I close the laptop, I'm already home with my kids on vacation at the beach in Costa Rica. I probably made $40,000 from that 1 hour spent on the laptop, on a table, on a chair in Costa Rica that I was later traveling to the cloud forest. So I'm so grateful that my stage travels with me in my international broadcast studio, which is what I call my phone. or my laptop.
Yes, well
And,
done.
and so maybe the technology wasn't there, maybe my mind wasn't there, but I actually left my wife and child in the hospital to go put ink on a paper, which sounds ridiculous today when contracts can be signed. But and that contract probably, I mean, that was 2013. I'm sure I could have signed that contract remotely. Now I always filter the decisions of, is this worth leaving my children? Now, at the same time, I've also recently rediscovered solo travel as I'm newly separated and newly a single father. So I do leave my children on occasion to travel solo because I do still live to travel, and it is being true to me to be traveling. So I get to serve an audience around the world. And what's really cool about this talk, Mel, is people are going to watch the recording and I'm going to be talking somewhere else while people are watching me talk somewhere else. And as I'm talking to you right now, multiple people are watching me give multiple different talks that are recorded on the internet. What a world we live in.
Yep.
So my humble moment was realizing the choice to leave my child for what is ultimately something that could have been done virtually. And my pinnacle moment was realizing I could be a professional speaker and be home with my kids at the same time and be in Costa Rica at the same time.
That's a win-win right there.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Majeed, because I like we talked about before we got on the show, like that's what this is about. I said to you at the beginning, or I said at the beginning of the show in the introduction, I talked about my father's closet, and I talked about how that's all that's left. And that the moral of the story is, instead of chasing the shiny things, it's about building meaningful relationships. And that goes with building meaningful relationships with your kids, if you have a partner, and that's where the energy should be spent. But we're in a bit of a pickle, because the truth is, Majeed, is that there's still a ton of people that don't really live like that. They're programmed to believe that life should be a certain way, and that they're just going through the motions of finding getting a good education, finding a good pensionable job, finding a partner, having 2.2 kids, and then working for the last 30, 40 years so they can buy things. So what do you say to that when you hear that? What's your thought? I mean, now that you're newly single and a single dad, what are your thoughts on all this? What would you tell somebody who is living the socially acceptable life, or the cultural stigma that's around how you should be? Because it doesn't really matter what it is. I don't care if you're Chinese, if you're Middle Eastern, if you're Italian. The truth is that we really all say the same things, bro. Okay, my mother would say, okay, Mel, you go get to the job, okay? I mean, that's when I started Muay Thai, I used to tell this story all the time. But do you really think my 70-year-old Italian mom at the time, because now she's 85, do you think that she said, oh my God, I can't wait to tell the rest of my family that you're punching people in the face for a living? Like, do you really think that happened? No, man. She said, why can't you go get another job? Why can't you go get a real job?
Of course, we want to make our parents proud. It's a survival strategy we developed as children. We want their love and appreciation and respect. The word should is a word that expresses someone else's values.
Yep.
And there's only one way to control people. The only way to control people is fear.
Yep.
So I would tell that person, one of the most freeing beliefs that I carry, and that is that there's no wrong way to do life. And there's no wrong way to do business. So you do you. And I would also advise them to be conscious of the programming that they are steeped in. So There's a story of a man who tried to change the world. And let's just say in this story, the man was trying to go around telling people about freedom and designing your own life and doing whatever you want to do. The story of this man who tried to change the world as a young man at 20 years old, he went around the world to tell people what he believed. And he campaigned and he tried to convince people for 20 years until on his 40th birthday, he said, gosh, these people are so stubborn. It's so hard to convince all these people. What I'm going to do is, he said, I'm going to be a little bit more realistic. I'm going to focus on my country. And he flew back home to his country and he went from coast to coast of his country campaigning to tell people the way things are, to convince people how to change until he was 60 years old. For 20 years, he did this in his country until he realized, people in my country, they're so stubborn. They're so hard to change. He says, I'm just going to work on my city. And he flew back home to his hometown, his city, and he met with the mayor and he met with the leaders and he campaigned all across the city for 20 years until he was 80 years old. And he said, man, people in my city are stubborn. They're hard to change. I'm going to just focus on my family. And so for the next 20 years, from the age of 80 until 100, he went from family member to tell them how things are and how they should change and how things should be until he was 100 years old. And he said, man, my family members are stubborn. I can't change them. And at 100 years old, he finally realized, if I would have just changed myself, I probably would have inspired my family. And if my family would have changed themselves, we probably would have inspired my city. And if my city would have changed, we would have inspired my country. And if my country would have changed, we would have inspired the world. Why didn't I think of that to start with me? So Mel, what I'm doing is I'm choosing to be a way shower, showing the way. I'm choosing to do what I can't. I like to do what I can't. I like to do the impossible. And I love all these rules with the COVID and the pandemic because it gives me so many opportunities to prove that I cannot be controlled. My little 5-year-old boy just loves it too, because I'm like, what do? We break the rules. What do? We break the rules. I've been deemed dangerous by several governments for walking around with an open face. I am currently on a mission to normalize human faces indoors. Anyway.
Normalize human faces indoors. I love it. What a mission.
Yes.
I love it.
I mean, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now, but anytime someone says you can't, I go, really? Really? Watch me.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's fabulous, Majeed.
So just be the change you wish to see in the world. That's the shorter version of the story.
Of course.
I wouldn't tell someone who's on 9 to 5, who's glued to the TV. And I'll tell you, that screen, there's a reason they call it TV programming. It's programming. There's a lot of screens that are programming. So watch what you're putting into your ears. Watch what you're putting into your eyes. Make a mindfulness practice of being conscious of what you are consuming. And be a creator and be a producer of good vibes and not just a consumer. There's a lot of shows and a lot of movies that make it pretty okay. In fact, celebrate shooting up other human beings with bullets. Not in my house.
Yeah.
No. Not right before bed. Not right before I'm about to close my eyes and leave my consciousness and go into the astral plane. I'm not about to watch humans killing humans. I might read a book about love poetry. Just be careful what's going into that brain.
Wow.
So I just assume someone who's on the 9 to 5 train, who's working for the weekend, who's drinking spirits to lower their vibration. You're putting in a lot of like stressed out dead animals in your body. You're putting in a lot of like factory generated stress in your body. I'm talking about food now. I'm talking about what you're watching, what you're listening to. So when you tell me about the guy who's on the 9 to 5 train, working for the weekend, doing the 2.2 kids, I assume they also are watching a lot of Netflix and probably eating at McDonald's.
Yep.
It was my conversation with you that inspired me to take out my phone and record it because of the vibration and frequency that you were elevating yourself to by choosing consciously what you were putting in your body, which is very inspiring to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And continue to do it. I have one meal a day. I've been living with one meal a day, and the rest of the day I just eat fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so much better. And it makes a lot of sense because the more food you put in, the more the body has to work to digest it, which means that it takes up the time because everything has an opportunity cost. So it means that it doesn't have time to heal. It doesn't have time to think. It doesn't have time to do things because it's busy processing what you shoved in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about what you said with everything is that isn't it ironic that they've chosen food to be the be all and end all about the things that we should watch when we talk about, oh, I got to lose weight, or oh, this is how I got to put on size, whatever the person's doing. We're always talking about, there's countless billions of people that are talking about what they just put in their mouth. But I know very few people who just say what you said. First of all, Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul talks about how we are not our thoughts, we are the awareness of our thoughts. So what we have to do is we have to be mindful of even the shit that we're thinking about.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about? Well, if I want to be a better person, a better thinker, a better communicator, then what I have to do too, Majeed, is be and take an inventory of what I'm thinking about. And if you're consuming the stuff that you're talking about, the Netflix and the Pornhub and the McDonald's, well, then that's what you're filling your head with right before you go to the astral plane and before you sleep.
And I will say that I have had nearly my entire life has been spent avoiding feeling feelings.
Of course.
And
As many do.
And food is an instantaneous way to change your feeling. Drugs, alcohol, busyness, stress,
Meaningless
sex. Yeah. So I'm only recently have I joined the Feelers Club. I've discovered that feelings are meant to be felt. And to understand my thoughts, to be aware of my thoughts, I have taken up the tool of journaling, which is the crystallization of thoughts onto paper. And to direct my thoughts, I have used the tool of questions. One of the questions that I found during the pandemic that led me to eating clean, quitting smoking weed, quitting drinking alcohol, losing 25 pounds was this question. If I truly and completely loved myself right now, what would I do? It's a good question. If I truly and completely loved myself right now, what would I do? Answer, I would exercise every day. I would eat super clean. I would be consciously connecting with good friends. I would not be spending time with people that drain me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I like a good question. One of my favorite questions is, how does it get any better than this? Which I asked at the beginning of your show.
Yep. And the answer is, this is the best right now.
It keeps
having this, it just can't. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So what's a good question? Love yourself if your life depends on it. I read that book, and that's where I got the question from, Ute. Thank you very much. That's right.
Well, just to have you know, because Ute's typing in the chat, Majeed, but she was the one who said in helping me, because she's seen success with her business, that she talked about something that you told her years ago, that in order to really, I want to say, in order to really gain new clients or to market yourself in a particular way, you have to present yourself in a way that says, here's Pain Island, here's Pleasure Island, and I'm the boat.
Yeah.
And she said she got that from Majeed, like magic. I mean, wow, there's really a lot to unpack here. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again just to write down some notes. But I want to continue along that path just for another moment, Majeed, about the fact that or we keep ourselves so busy just so we don't have to feel. And you're going to see that that's going to be one of my quotes on my Instagram and my Facebook, because I spoke with a client Wednesday and this morning. And that was the big topic. That isn't it ironic that we keep ourselves so busy so we just don't have to feel anything?
This is what I'm currently working on, Mel. One of the things that makes me such a great performer is that I thrive off of external validation. I was just talking to someone last night who is in the stand-up comedy business, and she said to me, comics are the worst for constantly needing validation from the audience. It's like, for me, validation from other people is like oxygen. Now, this has made me an excellent networker. I've got way more friends than the average person. I'm constantly with other people. Now, this is typically called an extrovert, right? But the dark side for me is I have a hard time being with me. Like, if it's just me with me and I got no plans and I'm not doing anything, I'm not on a screen or working or keeping busy, why does it feel so uncomfortable? I haven't quite figured out the answer yet, but this weekend I'm going into the woods with me, no phone. We're going to see what happens. So I'm working on it right now.
Well, will have you know, my friend, I know a coach who can help you with that.
Is that you?
That's me.
Let's talk.
Because the truth is that I think that's the most important part. Because part of the whole self-love, Tom Gardner and the self-love superhero Danny Oberon, and Ute she just wrote it. I love being with myself. She's a master at this.
I would love being with myself if I was Ute.
No kidding. I would love being myself. But the truth is that all this whole superhero journey, self-love superhero journey, is giving the things that you need so that you can love yourself. That means spending time with yourself. I mean, I always used to ask my students, and they used to think I was off my rocker, but I used to tell them, hey, have you ever been to a movie by yourself? And they went, no.
You mean, are you a psychopath?
Yeah, like right? Like, are you nuts? Like, what do you think? You're going to go to a movie? You ever been to a movie by yourself? It's wonderful. I love it. I absolutely love going to a movie by myself, because you know what? I really feel at peace. I don't have to worry about somebody. I don't have to worry about them running out of popcorn, or, oh my God, the popcorn doesn't taste good, or the soda Coke is flat, whatever it is. It's just me. The real test is, could you go to a bar by yourself?
For me, like, I can go to public places by myself. And I'm usually with me and my phone, which is my 5,000 friends and all the other news sources and everything else. I'm really not by myself, but for like, I'm talking no people, no gadgets, no books, no journals. Mel, I was in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I checked myself into a Buddhist monastery. They put us all in white pajamas, and they said you can't talk, you can't write, you can't read, and you can't listen to music. All we're gonna do is meditate. And within a couple hours, I was like, psst, hey, where are you from? Broke the rules, dude. And me and another dude hopped on a scooter, and we were out of there in like 2 days. I was supposed to be there for 10 days. I just couldn't do it. But that's the level of like removing distractions that I'm trying to get to figure out what is this fear of being without distraction, just being with my own mind.
So I did the same 10 days, Majeed. I did it in a Thai temple just south of Chiang Mai. It was called Wat Rampung, and it was in a little city called Hang Dong. And it was the Northern Meditation Retreat Center. And I remember walking in there, and I said, first of all, there was men and women. And beautiful women. And I said, how are we going to do this? So you're telling me that I got to stay here for 10 days? I can't read. I can't watch TV. I can't listen to music. I can't do any of this. I got to wake up at 4:30. I've got to meditate when the bell goes off. Then I've got to go get my kao tom, the rice soup in the morning at 6:00. Then I eat. I got to wash my dish, put it away. And then the last meal I have is at 11:30, because the last meal that I could eat is like the monks.
11:30 a.m.?
A.m.
We're getting Uber Eats in the afternoon. I'm just saying.
Right to the temple. Uber Eats. I'll get some pad thai, please.
Yeah.
But here's the point. The point is I want to share with you a little bit about my experience. Because, Majeed, you left after 2 days. I decided to stay the 10. And on day 3 and day 4, I wanted to take my head and smash it against the wall. And I said to myself, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, who does this? Why do I got to stay here like a chooch? You know what a chooch is? It's a jackass in Italian. Okay. Real chooch. I had to get real Italian there.
What the fuck? All right.
What the fuck am I doing here? And then something happened. And this is the moral of this story. On day 7 or 8, I set my timer, and we were taught to do sitting meditations, and we were taught to do walking meditations. And Majeed, on day 7 or 8, whenever it was, I clicked the button and I did my walking meditation. And what felt was like 5 minutes. I hear the buzzer go off, and I get pissed off at myself, and I go, for fuck's sakes. I've screwed up the timer. Now I got to start all over again. And I go and press the button, and it says 45 minutes. And what was the moral of the story there for me? Well, that I had just experienced what it was like to actually live in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, everything that you say, of course, resonates with me, because you don't get involved in Muay Thai, which is a martial art that comes from way across literally one halfway across the world. You've been there to the motherland. And you don't get into this because you want to be rich or you think you're going to get rich. You do it because you absolutely, with every fiber in your being, love Muay Thai. And so somebody asked me once in an interview, why did you choose this? And my answer was very simple, Majeed. All I said to them was, the reason why I chose martial arts as a career is because it's the only thing I'd ever done in my life where I was totally living in the present. And I feel this exact same way when I'm working with clients.
Mm-hmm.
That when I'm actively listening to my clients, the world could fall apart and it wouldn't matter to me because I'm listening to my client.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to understanding, for me, what success is. Success is putting something in my calendar because I put it there, not because somebody else wants me to put it there. And also that success is doing what I love, that when I'm doing it, I'm totally living in the present. And Ute wrote something about there's a difference between being by yourself and being by yourself. I'm going to reference a book called Simple Truths by Kent Nerburn. It's one of my favorite little books.
Let me pause you for a second. I was actually wanting to see if Ute meant to write that or if she meant to write something else, because what it says is there's a difference between being by yourself and being by yourself. But I wonder if she meant something else, because that seems to me unclear. But please go on with your reference.
Right. And thank you. Thank you for saying that. And Ute, if you could clarify that, that would be great, because there's actually a wonderful chapter in the book, Simple Truths, where his chapter's called Loneliness and Solitude.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's a huge difference. And I actually did a video, which, by the way, Majeed, you can look up on my YouTube channel, about what's the difference between loneliness and solitude. Being in solitude is very different than being lonely. and I get into an explanation as to what's the difference. But when we come around full circle, Majeed, we talk about like that this is part of the self-love journey. So in your journey, this idea of being present and being, you know, for the lack of better words, okay with just hanging out with yourself is a journey that most people struggle with their entire life. In fact, in the Kabbalah class, we talked about what do you do when you're alone? Do you go jump on a screen? Do you call a friend? Do you read a book? What do you do? Can't you just sit there and just be there? How many times, and I love the fact that I've seen you, you know, many times, Majeed, you'll take off your shoes, you'll connect with Mother Earth, you'll get grounded. Well, how many people can go and do that? You know, how many people would benefit from just going out into a forest and taking off your shoes and connecting with Mother Earth? It's all the stuff. If I had to summarize what we've talked about, Majeed, and what you've said, because you've said so much, so many gems of wisdom in here. If you watch what you eat, or if you want to lose weight, you watch what you eat. If you want to really go on the self-love journey, you have to exercise your body, you have to exercise your mind, and you have to exercise the spirit. And in doing that, that balance creates clarity in your life. Because I will tell you this, Majeed, the more time you spend with yourself, the more clarity you will have on what it is that you really desire most. Because you'll get time to say, what is it that I truly desire? What is it that I want? So that's amazing. I mean, I don't know if you're reading the chat, bro, but I think Ute said you can be by yourself and go somewhere, or you can be by yourself, just with yourself and enjoying yourself.
Yes.
Is being connected. So even AC wrote, just like a good relation, like it is being connected as an individual.
He also wrote earlier that he can help me figure out how to avoid people.
Yes, he did. He said he's there. He's there to support you. Right on, AC. AC in the house.
Yeah.
If there's any questions, please, I want to, sort of open up the floor for questions. If there's any, I know that Puti Nation and our dear friend Josh always is very, very, very good at asking brilliant questions. But Sandra Mio, who is a dear friend of mine, Majeed, you missed her that night. But when we were at the Twan's, but she came by afterwards with a friend, and she just wrote on the chat. She says, you're the only person who is with you your entire life.
Yeah,
and I love that. I love that. So thank you, Sandra, for sharing. Majeed, can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in your life now? Like what's happening? Is there courses that you're doing? What's happening? Like where can we find you?
Yeah. So I'm at expertspeaker.com, which is my website. I haven't updated in 4 years. I accept clients who are interested in working with me to book a strategy call at expertspeaker.com/apply. And my book is expertspeakerbook.com that teaches exactly how to grow your business with public speaking. What I'm up to right now is deepening my position as the world's only public speaking coach for holistic doctors. And it was from the speech I gave to a room full of holistic doctors that made me realize how much I love working with them. And I made the choice to do all of my marketing towards holistic doctors. So I am writing a book called Public Speaking for Holistic Doctors. And I'll tell you the strategy, which I think is next level. So I'm going to interview 10 influencers in the practice growth for holistic marketing world. Okay, practice growth for holistic doctors. Okay, so I'm interviewing one guy on podcasting. I'm interviewing one guy on funnels. I'm interviewing one lady on summits. I'm interviewing one lady on how to sell packages. And I'm taking all of their interviews and I'm putting how they apply to public speaking in this book. So I'm hosting a summit, I'm turning it into a book, and then that becomes my speaking tour, is those 10 audiences. So all of this is like to connect and deepen my position in service to holistic doctors to help them grow their companies with public speaking. Recently, I built a course, changing subjects now, called Magic Words. And if you're interested in it, I'm giving it away for free. And Magic Words is about how choosing the right words can change your reality. For example, instead of saying I have to, you say I get to. So instead of me saying I have to watch my kids tonight, I say I get to watch my kids tonight. Instead of saying I don't have time, I say I make time. Time is mine to create. So choosing the right words and how that changes your reality, that's called Magic Words. So I'm building online courses. I'm writing books. I am asking myself the question every day, how can I make today the best day of my life? And living the best day possible. Today I watched the sunrise. I played tennis. I had a lovely connection call to become a coach for a TEDx in the States. I'm on this call with you, and right afterwards, I get to invite someone into working with me through a sales conversation. And after that, I have a hot date with a smoking hot baby. How does it get any better than that?
2 points for
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, really an incredible show, Majeed. I mean, I can't believe it, but you're going to be surprised, but it's already 1:30 already, or almost 1:30, which is just remarkable at how time flies. But I'm super grateful. We have one question. Josh says, what are your tips for listening one's way into a sale?
Okay, so there's a little game I call $1,000 listening. So imagine you're on a game show. And the game show host says, ready, set, go. And you're in this conversation. And at any point, the game show host can pause the conversation. And they're going to ask you 2 questions. They're going to ask you, what was that person just saying right now? And how were they feeling when they said it? And so you're going to answer the first question and the second question. And then the game show host is going to ask the person who was talking, did they get that right? Did they know what you were saying? And did they know how you were feeling? And if you answer both questions correct, you get $1,000. Now imagine you're on that game show all the time. And what you'll find is that you are better at listening simply by adding more value to it. The $1,000 is an example of what value is. So imagine you're always about to be quizzed. What were they just saying and how were they feeling? Now, to show them that you're listening and to make them feel heard and understood, what you do is, while they're speaking, you say back to them what you're hearing. So you say things like, so if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is, and then you paraphrase it into your own words, and then you ask them, did I hear you correctly? Is that right? And all communication, in order for us to know that communication has actually taken place, requires the sender to send a message, the receiver to send back what they received, and the sender to verify that what was received matches what was sent. Only after that 3-part communication, send, receive, and verify, do we know that communication has taken place. Because I could say something to you, for example, and I can ask you, do you understand? And you could say, yes, I understand, but I don't really know that you understand. The only way I know that you understand is if I ask you, tell me what you just understood. And you say it back to me and I go, yes, you heard me correctly. So as a listener, take it upon yourself to verify that what you have heard is in fact what was said or what was intended to be said. Listen not just for the words, but for the feelings behind the words. And imagine if you get those quiz questions correct, you'll get $1,000. And in a sales conversation, you do actually get the $1,000.
Exactly. Or the 5,000 or the 15,000.
Yeah.
Just to, on a side note, my friend, AC wants to know he'll be ready to be picked up at 8:00 tonight for his date.
Wear something cute.
Wear something cute, AC. I love it. Building rapport and mirroring, paraphrasing. Yeah, it's very important. I think that that's another thing that, I did learn from my father. that he said he always used to say, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So that means you should do double the listening that you do talking.
That's good. I thought that was a Persian phrase. It must be an Italian phrase too.
Hey, it's Italian too. He did it like this.
So building rapport is like, I think the most effective rapport building is to helping them see how you are like them. And so, Mel, if you and I got on a call, what I'd probably do, first thing is I'd say, oh, that's a cool painting back there. Tell me about it. And now we're connecting about that. And I'll say, where in the world are you, Mel? And you're like, oh, I'm in the East End of Ottawa. Oh, East End, is that like by Orleans? Oh, yeah, I've been out that way. Peachtree Island, you're out by that? Oh, yeah, I've been to the beach. And now we know that we have some things in common. I might say like, oh, you're friends with Albert Wong. I love Albert Wong. We go way back. And now we're in the Albert Wong fan club. And so rapport is finding things that we have in common. Mirroring is the physical movements, matching their movements, because subconsciously they feel like you're like them when you're moving like them. And what was the other thing? Building rapport, mirroring, and paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is saying back to someone what they just said in your own words, because when you change the words, you're demonstrating that you've understood the meaning. Because I could say back to you the exact same words that you just said to me, but if I say the exact same words and I haven't paraphrased, I'm not actually demonstrating that I understand the meaning. I'm only demonstrating that I heard the words.
Yeah. And for everybody that's on live, the Albert Wong fan club is free to join. That's important. That's
yes.
important.
Yes.
Where do I get my t-shirt? I got to be honest with you. I love having the boys on here because they just create a lot of fun in the chat. But thank you, Majeed. Thank you for everything. Thank you for sharing your love, your energy, your passion with all of us today. You really are an amazing human being. And my only thing is I hope I get to spend more time with you so that I can learn. And
you can replace the word hope with the word trust.
Right. I trust that we're going to spend more time together.
There you go.
And what I would like to do is I would also like to be of service to you. And I would like to know how I could be of service to you, because clearly in the 90 minutes, you've showed a million ways as to how you could be of service to a guy like me. But in return, that there has to be an exchange of energy. And I trust that I can be of service to you one day as well.
Good. Well, you are of service to me as a dear friend. And as a speaker, I love to see the impact of my work. So what you can do is implement something that you've learned today and tell me about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dope call, says AC. I love it. Majeed, I'm going to put you backstage for a moment as I give off my final thoughts.
Thank you.
And thank you again, brother. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
My pleasure. Thank you.
As my yoga teacher would say, no more stay.
Sawadee krap.
Sawadee krap. Khap kun mak krap. Chok di na krap. Okay, so shouldn't the rest of the world have been here to hear that? I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, because it's powerful stuff. So for all of you that were here, I hope that you got at least one thing that hit home for you. I think that it started in the right direction by Majeed talking about coming from a family that had this poor mentality. Someone always told me, if you want something, or the middle class would say something like, I can't afford it. And the upper middle class or the rich would say, how can I afford it? And that by changing the words, and the importance of changing words and being intentional about what comes out of your mouth is truly very powerful. And I'm going to continue my journey, because it's clear to me, and Majeed's made it very clear, that I too have lots to learn about communication. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. Next week on the Coffee and Biscotti show, Rob Meredith Yeah. This dude, let me just put it like this. Rob Meredith climbed Mount Everest. Enough said. That's all I got to say. So be here next week. We have an awesome guest, Rob Meredith, next week, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to close just by thanking all my dear friends and all those that tune in. Poutine Nation for always being here. Josh, I love you. We didn't talk in a couple of weeks, so I trust that we are going to have a conversation soon. AC, much love, brother. Bup, bup. Sending you some love. Albert Wong, who I love you, brother. I'm already a member. I actually think I'm actually on the board of directors of the Albert Wong fan club. I also call it the Albert Wong Supermodel Club. To my friend in Jamaica, boom tings happening here in Ottawa, two tums. The Rum Cake Queen, love you, girl. Sandra Mio, you're awesome. Thank you for shining your light with us today in the chat. And to all of us and to all those that will watch this post-live production, thank you so much. And I just want to close by saying, Dad, I love you. And you're a fighter, man. You are an inspiration to me and continue to be. So thank you for getting better so we can spend some more time with you. Love you, Dad. Josh, rate us away, baby. Wherever we headed, stick around. Josh, are you going to post where we go? If not, just stay on the stream and you will be magically brought there. Majeed, like magic. Peace out, homies. Much love. Have an awesome weekend.